everybody, welcome back to another video, episode 11 on the 69 Camaro rebuild. Yeah, it's been a little frustrating waiting for that quarter panel with all the issues we had with the one that came with the car, but I'm going to move on to some other things. We'll get some more dents and things fixed up, and also get some of the rear end and subframe and all that kind of stuff ready to go, and just got to keep moving along. We can't sit and wait. So I'll get out in the shop, get busy, and hope you stick around, watch till the end, and enjoy it. See you out in the shop. Well, while I'm waiting on the quarter panel delivery, got the motor separated from the tranny and start stripping down the motor. So I'm taking off the things that we're not going to use, like the manifolds and carb and stuff. We'll get that all stripped down, take a look inside it, maybe get the valve covers, intake, and all that off also. So while I'm also doing this, I got the door skin, or the passenger door frame, out to get blasted, along with the core support and the inner fenders, so I can get them back, get some epoxy on them, and get them ready to roll. So yeah, I'm gonna get this thing torn down a little bit, and we got to do a lot of degreasing, clean it up. Tranny looks like crap, it's really dirty. We'll get it all cleaned up and see what it looks like inside this motor. I'll run the scope in, pull the plugs, and see what we see inside, top the pistons and cylinders. Got a few of the parts back from being blasted. So here's the door shell frame, whatever you want to call it. Came out really nice, no rust through anywhere. You know, these corners had a little bit of scale on them, but they're still good and thick and solid. So yeah, it's kind of hoping to leave all this inside factory, but in the process of blasting, he hit a little too much of that. So I ended up taking a conditioner disc and Scotch-Brite to it and getting that all prepped too, so that'll get redone. I just kind of like to leave it so if anybody ever pulls off the interior door panels and sees the factory markings and stuff, they might think it's all still original. Right. So yeah, and here's the inner fenders. Came out pretty well, except this one here did come through in this corner, so I'll have to cut that out and make a new corner here. This will probably be okay here. It's a little rough, but that should be all right. Still solid. Same within here. It's a little pitted, but still good and solid. So yeah, I'm gonna get some epoxy on these and get them done. Unfortunately, my booth is so damn full of stuff right now that I'm just gonna have to do these out here in the shop. But with the HVLP turned down, I don't really get too much for overspray. So all right, I'll get some epoxy on these and we'll see how they look. Well, got more parts back from the blaster. On this core support here, this body or front mount here is a little thin, and this one's going to have to be remade, replaced. Again, we're pitted down in here, but it looks pretty solid still. We'll see how it looks more when I tear that top one off. But we're going to get some epoxy on them now. Here's the rear end and the springs. Get them epoxied. And then we got the main cross or front subframe here. Yeah, and I was blowing the sandblasting material out of the cross members. There's still some remnants of mouse nest coming out of the doggone thing. But I think I got everything out now. I see I got to do a little more blowing off of there. And I still got to wipe them down and get them ready. But yeah, we'll get the epoxy on these here in a little bit and get these things so they'll be ready to paint. So I got two coats. Excuse my voice, I'm still wearing my mask, kind of stinks in here. 2 good wet coats on these. Came out pretty good. Inside of this real nice. Now when I go to skin this, I'll have to strip this lip. I was going to mask it, I kind of forgot. I'll have to strip that, so the bonding adhesive needs to be on bare metal. But the nice thing about using that bonding adhesive is when you fold the door skin over, you fill that whole space, you know, where the crimp is filled with glue, which seals it out, so you don't have to put any seam sealer on the outside. So it looks a lot cleaner and it's a better protection than the outside sealer. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty pitted down here. We'll see, might do a little mud in that just to pretty it up. And we'll have to cut this out, patch that all in. Otherwise, yeah, they look pretty good, and I'll paint them with basically the same color as this, just a semi-gloss black. I'm not a fan of gloss black chassis and inner parts like this, you know, unless the car is. I think the satin looks more factory. This looks higher end, you know, especially since these things aren't going to be sanded perfect like, you know, a Foose or a Kindig or somebody's show car. And if you put a gloss black on there, you'd see every ripple and stuff. So that's the way I like to do it. All right, so I'm going to get out of here, let these things dry overnight. I'll work on that patch tomorrow, and I got everything in epoxy, so I'm starting on making the patch for this corner here. So I started with a paper pattern, paper and tape pattern, to kind of go over it, cover all the rough spot, and then some 18 gauge, and this is where I'm at so far. Fits on there pretty nice. So I'll weld this together, and then I can cut this out and do a little rounding, a little more rounding on this, and get her welded in. And then that corner will be done. Then we'll start on the core support. So let me get this thing welded up, cut out and welded up, and we'll show you what it looks like. Well, here's the result of the patch. Came out nice, all welded in, ground down good and clean. Just needs a little self-etching primer right now, and then it'll be ready for some paint, and this panel will be done. So we'll move on to the other ones. So I've been mentioning as I'm working on this how I'm surprised at how good the front end parts are, and how the quarters were so bad. And I'm starting to realize that this thing had been in a front end accident, and those are probably had new fenders put on it. And you can see right here, this had actually some pretty heavy damage. This core support there, whether it was folded in this way or down. And then if I look on this side, there's more here, and then there's a good sign of a pulling, putting a hook in there and doing some pulling. And seeing how rusted the mounts here on the core support, I'm saying this is original, but we know the hood's not, and I don't believe the fenders are either. So yeah, I'll have to do some work on this. I mean, like I say, it's not a perfect show car, but we'll try to get this as straightened out as we can, and can't do a whole lot. We'll just try to straighten out some of these dents, but we're going to have to bolt it on the car and get everything lined up. you know, in case we got to move some stuff around. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking those are not the original fenders, and I believe the one door, the driver's door had been reskinned, and the passenger door was still original. So I'm gonna get to work on this, and we'll do a little hammer and dolly work on these areas, and then I'll work on replacing this. Well, I got this pounded out pretty well, you know, not perfect, but same on this side, it's not as good. I just don't know what's going on here. It looks like they actually did some welding in there too. And I debated, you know, because it's really deformed on top, and this is after I did a lot of work on it. I debated on cutting out a piece here, welding in new. But then, you know, this will probably get covered up. We'll do a cover over the top of the core support up to the front of the header. So started on this, and when I cut the welds on this and pulled it off, it's really rotten in there. You know, it's splitting here. So I would have to replace this up in here. We have to replace all of this. The actual brace on the backside seems okay, but you know, seeing this, and then you look over at this side, I'm sure this is starting underneath to get like that. So then, you know, probably would want to pull this off and treat, you know, the metal under here. So anyways, I've been using parts from Jags so far. I've been really happy with their fitment. They have a core support for 85 bucks, I think it is. So I ended up just ordering one of them up. Just not worth the hassle to fix this one. The time and money, I mean, will be about the same. And instead of working on this, I can be working on the other stuff. So yep, I got that ordered up. So I'm going to move on to getting everything else painted today, and we'll see what that looks like when it's done. Now I got her all painted. Here's the rear end. Springs. Came out pretty decent. And we just try to get a really nice, fresh factory look. That's what I like about this paint. It's like an implement semi-gloss black. It's tough paint, holds up real well, lays out real nice. Gives it a good color, gives it that factory look. And you know, the good epoxy underneath it, it's really durable. So there's the subframe, and then we got the inner fenders here. There's still little glossier, you know, it's still pretty fresh. It might actually still dull up a little more as it keeps curing. Fumes are still pretty good in here. Don't have real good light on this side, but yeah, so those are good. And if you look over here, I did get the other quarter panel in. So I'll be getting that fitted on next. And then while that is, or once I get that fitted onto the car and get the this all epoxied and prepped and ready to go, undercoated and everything, while that's curing up, I can install this door skin here onto the frame over there. And I did also put a good coat of epoxy inside this. Can't really see in the dark, but I don't like to just leave it with that electro-coated primer they put on them. That's pretty thin stuff. It's a good base, so I just scuffed it up good, put epoxy on it. But I am going to end this video here, call her a night, and get out here tomorrow, get working on that quarter panel. So Hope you stuck around. Hope you watched here till the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe learned a little something. And maybe getting ideas to do something on your own car. But thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.